So I gotta say, right up front, I'm just not a fan of this entire project. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. And when we get to the end of this, you'll understand why I have such strong feelings. But anyway, I was at the lumber yard, my hardwood dealer, and I saw this purple wood. I mean, really? Who decided making purple wood would be a good idea? And what the hell would you use it for? But I had an idea. And yeah, once you have an idea, right, you got to do something with it. So I took some home and decided to cut it up. I kind of felt good about that, cutting it up. Surprisingly, it's kind of tough. It's a tough wood, purple wood. Purple heart, I guess they call it. I guess that's because it comes from the heart of the purple wood tree. I don't know. Is that the deal? Is it a purple wood tree? Why don't you Google that? Find out what kind of tree this crazy wood comes from. And then on top of that, you gotta bake it in the oven like a pizza. 350 degrees for 30 minutes. Just like a Totino's pizza. And I guess you do that so it stays purple. Because if you don't, it'll turn brown. And, we've got enough brown wood in the world. We don't need any more of that. So that's what I did. I cooked it in the oven. Felt like an idiot doing it. Like, what the hell am I doing? You can't eat it. You'd think it might taste like grapes, but no. It just tastes like wood. It smells like wood. It's hot when it comes out of the oven. Imagine that, right? So this is yellow heart. Really? We have purple heart and yellow heart. Where in the world do these trees grow? It must be a very colorful forest. So I thought purple and yellow. What the heck could we do with that? So, yeah, here's my, what do you call that saw? That's yeah, I'll think of it. Track saw, yeah, and yeah, I used it without the track because I was too lazy to go find my circular saw. And jigsaw, it was just kind of snorting, trying to cross-cut these thick pieces of wood. So, yeah, no, I'm not looking for my finger. I didn't lose my finger inside the table saw. I just couldn't raise the blade up and down. And then I realized while I was getting the WD-40 out to fix that I needed to put straight edges on these boards anyway before I took them over to the table saw. So I had to do a little milling on my cheap tabletop jointer. And then I realized my fence wasn't square. So I had to do it over. Got this fence square and did it again. And then things seemed to come together better. And I took it to the table saw and, started cutting it up again. Actually, didn't get a lot of joy out of cutting the yellow heart, but boy, do I like chopping up that purple wood. Just seems right. So here I'm brainstorming, what am I going to do? You see the smoke rolling out of my ears a little bit if you look real close, but just kind of figuring out what the heck. What the hell should I do with this purple and yellow wood? So I guess they say once you straighten one edge, you run that edge up against the table saw, and you then have two parallel edges. So that's what I'm doing here. Learn that on the interwebs. By the way, I'm not an expert, so if you come here looking for a tutorial, sorry. I'm just kind of learning too, and So if you do what I do, try to copy me and you lose a finger, it's on you, not on me. All right, so great. This Purple Heart kind of fights me back, and it's really tougher than I thought. So I had to bring the blade down. Let's do this in 2 passes. Maybe I need a new blade. Maybe I need to sharpen it. Maybe I need to clean it. I don't know. But Purple Heart puts up a pretty good fight. And then things got a little sketchy here. Trying to clean up this edge because I had a little trouble. But this board just wants to lift, and that board gets on top of that blade, kick back, and I'll end up with a piece of purple wood stuck in my forehead. So this was a little sketchy. So yeah, don't do this at home, folks. I think on the next board I realized that if I raise the blade up higher than the top of the board I'm trying to trim, that it's a little easier. It's kind of counterintuitive. The more exposed blade, the safer. So anyway, that's what I'm doing here. I gotta clean this edge up too. Yeah, and then this board goes through a lot better. Who would have thunk it? So yeah, I gotta continue chopping up this wood, and in a little bit you'll find out what exactly I'm trying to do with yellow and purple wood. I guess you can call it gold. There's no such thing as gold heart wood, so yellow is the best we could do. Got the yellow heart from the same lumberyard, hardwood dealer, Southeast South Dakota Rough Sawn Lumber. So now that we got our pieces cut to the right thickness, width, we got to run them through the joiner again to get flat faces. Could have done this at the same time I did the edges, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. So here we are at the thickness planer. And man, this cheap little Wen thickness planer really struggled. And I'm kind of struggling too. Look, I put the stock on top of the planer and it all fell down. But yeah, it's a hard board to plane through this. I just don't have the horsepower. I don't have the horsepower, and the thickness planer doesn't have the horsepower either. So the thin pieces seem to work just fine. But in the end, I couldn't get that big piece of purple wood down to the final thickness I wanted. So we'll see here after a bit. I'll have to take it over to put it on the CNC machine and flatten it that way. So here we are at the fun part, the glue up. And maybe some of you are starting to get an idea what the hell I'm making here. You've seen it 1,000 times. It's all over YouTube. Well, not this particular one, but everybody's doing it. It's the project of the year, maybe the decade, I don't know. But I'm giving this one away. There's no way I'm keeping this in my house. Just no way. And like I said, you'll understand my animosity when we get to the end. Not really animosity, but it's fun to tell people that I hate it. So yeah, I always put way too much clamping pressure on my boards, and it just makes things more difficult. You'd think I'd learn, but word of the wise, if you if you just put enough clamping pressure on, chances of the board coming out flat are a lot better. So anyway, we're back to the CNC. We're at the CNC. We're not back to it. We haven't used it yet, right? We're at the CNC machine, and I'm overdoing the tape because, well, if you have a CNC machine and your stock moves on you in the middle of a CNC operation, it's just all over with. It's just everything you've done to that point was for nothing. So I like to make damn sure that my stock is secured. So we're using the blue tape and super glue method here, and gonna make damn sure that that board is square on the bed. And what we're gonna do here is flatten. So I got to tell the CNC machine where the 0 bottom left corner is. I like to use that 60-degree V-bit because it's nice and pointy. I'll just point it right at that bottom left corner, and then I zero it off the spoil board. If you zero off the spoil board rather than the top, if you zero off the bottom, you're way less likely to chew up your spoil board. Now we're putting the flattening bit on, and the machine's going to measure it. They say if you have a CNC machine, you're not a woodworker, but I don't know. I don't know why they say that. They say it's cheating. I say work smarter, not harder, right? So we're going to let the machine flatten the board. And you can see that Purple Heart burns. Did everything I could. Slowed my router way down. But nothing a belt sander can't deal with, right? So we got to clean those burn marks off. We got to clean them tool marks off anyway, so what the hell. A little belt sander, a little orbital sander. How about that fancy dust collection there, that magnetic quick connect? Yeah, that was my invention. Pretty much dust free. So yeah, when you're sanding, if your sander has a dust port, use it. Have far less dust boogers. So I'm back at the CNC machine, cutting out some geometry. Have you figured out what it is yet? What the hell could that be? I'll give you a hint. It's that funny French word, often used during the holiday season for gatherings of friends and family, and meats and cheeses, crackers, fruits, things like that. But this one's special. It's purple and yellow, purple and gold, whatever. Now we're cutting it out, the final shape. There again, I'm obviously not a woodworker because I'm using a computer and a robot. Blasphemy, I tell you. I could have used double-sided tape instead of blue tape for this, but I'm too lazy to turn around and get a roll of double-sided tape. The super glue was right there. Why should I move 6 feet to get double-sided tape when I can waste all this blue tape and super glue and that spray stuff? So now I'm going to put a rounded edge with this cheap Menards trim router. That's why I taped it down, so it would stand still for me. More sanding. Look at that disconnect. Isn't that just the coolest thing? Oh, see, that's why we tape it down. Otherwise, that thing wants to run away. Sanding, sanding, sanding. Oh, what the hell is that? The hell kind of contraption is that? That is my ORTUR 10 watt. I think it's a 10 watt laser engraver. So, you know, I guess this isn't woodworking either, because it's a robot hooked to a computer. And then we're going to put some powder coat paint. I'm going to fill that little divot made by the laser with powder coat paint. Then we're going to run the laser again at low power. And that's just going to melt that paint right into that wood. And that really gives you a little more contrast. Instead of a charcoal black, it's a powder coat black. And yeah, it just looks better. Figured out what it is yet? I mean, if you haven't figured it out by now, I mean, there's just no help for you. Sorry. Not going to tell you. And then epoxy. So, you know, there's the third reason I'm not a woodworker. I'm using epoxy. So, the epoxy fills the voids up from the engraving, so little pieces of food don't get caught down in there and hard to clean up, and just gives it a nice smooth surface. Creates a lot more work because I'm going to have to sand this all flat, which will be next. But there we go. Got to get the little micro bubbles out of the epoxy, and next we'll be sanding. So we're going to let this sit for 48 hours or so and let that goop get rock hard before we tear into it with the sander. And so yeah, 2 days flew by just like that. So this is, I don't know, kind of fun, just grinding away at that Viking's face. Kind of enjoy this part. I'm kind of glad I did it. But yeah, actually, truth be told, I screwed this up a little bit and kind of over sanded a little bit on some of the lettering. I guess they say you're supposed to embrace the imperfections, right? This is art, right? Anyway, can't really see it. It's not too bad once we get the oil on it, but there you go. That's a done deal. Minnesota Vikings Charcuterie board. And like I said, we'll be giving this one away. So, yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.